Welcome back, DCeased Dead Planet Issue 2. Here we go. Issue 2 starts off, we got Arsenal, Roy Harper himself. Where was he during the whole first session? We have no idea, but 5 years later, he's got a little chunk of Chicago that he is keeping safe. Except he gets lit on fire instantly because fire comes in, zombie fire, and just burns him to a crisp and he's dead. Just a few seconds too late to save Harper, but to save all the other humans, a portal opens up, John Constantine walks out with the rest of Shadowpact. Shadowpact, in this particular version, is a team of heroes. They are going around kind of killing zombies and saving humans, bringing them back to the garden. We got John Constantine, Zatanna, Detective Chimp, Red Hood, Ravager, Blue Devil, and Ragman. They're just going around finding human refugees, bringing them back to the garden, using magic. And they're going and they're taking out all these zombies, they're saving everybody. They're like, hey, this is cool, this is what we do, you know? It's been 5 years and this is what they've been doing. They're getting really good at it. But then something spooks John Constantine because right behind him is Swamp Thing. And he's like, John Constantine, we gotta talk. I'm a little busy, mate. Don't want to talk right now. And Swamp Thing just kind of gets plant spikes come and they take out all the zombies. And he's like, why didn't you bloody leave with that, mate? And Swamp Thing's like, yeah, so we're going to Australia because there's another garden there and something's wrong with it. And you're gonna help me. And Constantine's like, yeah, I guess. I can't really argue with that. So let's go to Australia. Back in the garden, we have Red Hood and Ravager have gone back to the garden with all the survivors. They left the rest of the magic people to go take care of Australia, and they go back and we learn that Dr. Fate has moved into the garden and he's got his whole Fate Tower there, and everything's been magically sealed on top of all the plants. So they're pretty much, well, they are the safest place on Earth. But they open it up because there's, you know, Batman's back and Superman's back, and everybody's like, oh, we're gonna have a big reunion. But Green Canary comes in and she has a big bubble behind her with Green Arrow, and Poison Ivy is like, no, absolutely not. Will you bring that infected in here? He gets out, or you get out. And she's like, yeah, I'm not leaving him. He's my husband. They got married, I guess. And she flies off. She leaves the garden. She takes Green Arrow and she leaves the garden. She's like, yeah, I'm not leaving him behind. But they're also like, oh crap, also Superman's bleeding out here. We gotta help that. And Dr. Fate's like, this is a magic wound. I'll magically deal with it. There's another touching moment, I guess, where Red Hood finally sees young Batman, Damian. He's like, hey, Damian, you're Batman now. And Damian's like, yeah, is that cool, you know? He's like, yeah, your father made a lot of mistakes, kid, but making you Batman wasn't one of them. And they have a hug. And Commissioner Gordon shows up later and he hugs him too. He's like, oh, the old Batman wasn't a hugger. And it's like, okay, well, I'm a different Batman. And that's, like I said last video with Superman, I'm going to address this later. It's cool. Cassie, Wonder Woman, and Batman are hooking up. They share a kiss in this one because they're worried about John being hurt. They're like, oh, he might not make it, and they share a kiss. That's really all it shows for this whole series, that they are together. Like I said, it doesn't dwell on that. A lot of stuff is running through at a big clip. So we see this garden in Australia. It's a big bunker, and there's a garden screaming out for help. A garden surrounded by a ring of fire, a moat of blood, and a few thousand of the undead. So they're like looking at it, they're like, okay, well, I can deal with the hellfire, we can deal with some of the undead, river of blood, whatever, we'll fly over it, no big deal. They do. They're magicking themselves up and over it, and Detective Chimp is like, that isn't a river of blood. But he realizes it a second too late, because that river of blood flies up out of nowhere, it kills Ragman, it kills Blue Devil, and it kills Zatanna, and it itself was Plastic Man. John Constantine, Detective Chimp, and Swamp Thing are left falling into this gaping maw that is Plastic Man. That is crazy. So once Plastic Man became a zombie, he just decided to spread himself out everywhere, and he's just very powerful. A lot of times when people start talking about Plastic Man, they do reference this. They're like, Plastic Man? You don't think Plastic Man's super awesome? Check out what he does in DCeased. And I guess we're going to find out next issue what he actually does. So before I click and stop the recording, I guess I should say, come back tomorrow for Chapter 3 of DCeased Dead Planet. I'm Haussmann. Subscribe if you want, and like, because I told you to. Yeah, you know what? I'm not asking. I'm telling you, if you're still here at this point, hit the like button.